All right, hello everybody. It's been a while since I uploaded, about like 2 weeks or so. I've actually been learning how to program in Rust over the past couple weeks. So today I'm gonna bring you guys a Rust video on like doing some LeetCode questions with Rust. This one's fairly easy. So if you want to try Rust, or like, if you're new to like these programming questions or want to give it a try, I highly recommend it because this one's pretty easy. Pretty much anyone could do this, especially if you're a newer programmer. So today we're doing LeetCode number 2169, count operations to obtain 0. You are given two non-negative integers, num1 and num2. In one operation, if num1 is greater than or equal to num2, you must subtract num2 from num1. Otherwise, subtract num1 from num2. For example, if num1 is equal to 5 and num2 is equal to 4, subtract 2 from 1. Thus obtaining num1 equals 1, num2 equals 4. However, if num1 equals 4 and num2 equals 5, after one operation, num1 equals 4 and num2 equals 1. Turn the number of operations required to make either num1 equal to 0 or num2 equal to 0. So yeah, this one's pretty easy. What's cool about this solution is that it's pretty much the same across languages. You can pretty much type the same algorithm out in any other language and you'll still get it. So like in C#, Rust. So this will work for not only for Rust, but also C#. So the first thing what we want to do is we want to make these variables mutable. Because for those of you that don't know, in Rust, variables are immutable by default, so you can't change them. So we have to use the mute keyword in order to do this. And this won't give us any errors because we're just passing a value. So like on the compiler end, it'll just be like count operations, and then it'll just be this. There doesn't have to be anything special here. They don't have to use the mute keyword here when that calls it on the computer end, because this is just passing the value in. So anyway, so the next step we want to do is we want to create a keyword or a variable to store our counter. So we're gonna use the let keyword. This sets our variable, and then we're gonna add the mute keyword as well. This makes it mutable. So mute counter equals 0. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run a while loop now. So while num1 is greater than 0 and num2 is greater than 0. So one thing to be careful of here is to make sure you have an and here, because we want both conditions to be true in order for this while loop to continue. So don't make the mistake like I did earlier where I did or, because either or has to be false, or either or has to be true, and it'll still continue to loop. So you want to make sure you have the double ampersand here. You want to make sure you have the and here. So next we want to check. We could do a match here, but I'm just going to do an if statement because it's just a lot easier. So we're going to do num1. If num1 is greater than num2, then what we do is we just do num minus equals num2. One thing you want to be careful here too is you want to make sure that you're doing num minus equals and not equals minus, because these two operations will give you two completely different results. So make sure it's num1 minus equals num2. And then the else here, we want to have num2. Else we want to have num2 minus equals num1. So this satisfies the condition here in the question. And then once these two conditions are finished, you want to run counter and then plus equals 1. And so since it's Rust, we could just have counter here and it should work fine, but I'm just going to put return because, old habits die hard. might as well. I foresee myself programming in C# more often than Rust, but so I figure I might as well keep that habit going. But anyway, as you can see here, Rust is pretty fast, as you can tell, with the runtime of 1 millisecond. This is pretty much, you can pretty much copy and paste this code and throw it into C#. It's pretty much the same, but instead of like let mute, you just want int here, and then pretty much the same here. So let's go ahead and run it real quick. So since we're on the topic here, since I mentioned it earlier, I'll bring it up here. For example, you want to make sure, one of the tricky parts of this question is the minus equals here. You want to just make sure that you're doing minus equals and not equals minus. As you can see here, you could get a completely different result if you don't have that set properly. So just if you got the answer wrong and you're wondering like, why did I get that wrong? Then it's probably, and just double check that's not that. So let's go ahead and run this. And this is one of the crazy things about Rust that I've been liking is interesting. As you can see here, I ran a couple tests earlier, but as you can see here with C#, pretty much with the same code, it's pretty much the same code with C#. It takes up an additional 26 megabytes of memory, and that takes 17 milliseconds. But if we go into Rust and we pretty much run the same code here, you know, we're getting so like such a drastic amount of performance. So it's pretty wild. I feel like Rust is the way to go. I remember I saw a chart somewhere that Rust is actually faster than C++ in some cases. So I don't know if you guys are super interested into like super optimization and stuff like that with LeetCode questions. Definitely look into Rust. But yeah, pretty interesting here how typing out the actual num2, not using the shorthand, is actually quicker, which is interesting. Let's go ahead and copy this real quick. Actually curious. Let's go ahead and run this. Let's see how much of a difference this makes. Wow, it does actually make a difference. Very minimal, but it's very interesting. I wonder why that is. But anyway, we're saving like 0.2 megabytes, but I don't know, at that point we're pretty much splitting hairs. But yeah, Rust is a pretty interesting language. It's really hard to get into. If you guys want any resources, I highly recommend you guys check out the Rust Lang book. I'll leave a link in the description. I found this link really helpful. Let's see. This is rustbook.csbrown.edu. What's cool about this is that it gives you quizzes, and then you can also highlight things as well. Like you can highlight like certain portions of the book, and then it gives you quizzes to test your knowledge. So I really like this one. So if you guys want to like dig deeper into Rust, or you know, you haven't, if you want to try it out, then check out this book. It's really, really helpful. It's free of charge too, so you don't have to worry about paying it. And yeah. All right, guys. Hopefully you guys found that helpful. Hopefully you found it interesting. Have an awesome day. Take care.